Mission accomplished.
Seat as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
But wait, there's more.
The conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Hold up.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
there's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
with Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially and what that would mean or look like.
Oprah, they're so racist. That's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be.
That conversation I'm never going to share.
Ooh, this is uncomfortable.
We'll talk when we get home.
Hello, Queens. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh, my crown is a little crooked. And it's making my hair do crazy stuff. My goodness. We're a hot mess today. Clearly, I didn't look in a mirror. Happy Valentine's Day to all you princesses out there. And princes, if you're watching too. I don't know if we have any princes that watch this channel. I know we have brother friends that watch the other channel. I don't know if we have any princes that watch this. Who is here today? Happy Valentine's Day. I didn't know anybody would be here on Valentine's Day because we are a smaller group. Yes, we are. Wendy, yay. Hey, I saw that right when the intro was playing, so I went to look it up and I started to hit play and I'm like, oh, here it is. This is all the cringe. And then I realized the thing was like 17 minutes long or something. I thought it was going to be like a 2-minute clip. So I'll have to watch it later. Hi, Janice. Welcome. Living an eclectic life. Hello, and happy Valentine's Day to you too. Well, my royal watchers, we are probably going to do a half a chapter today. It's called Backlash, and I do believe it was a lengthy one. So we'll just read. Well, it's not too bad. We'll see. We'll get going. I like it. I like to either stop halfway through or get the whole thing done. So we'll see. Maybe we'll go a little longer today. Okay. This is chapter 39. Can you believe we have gotten to chapter 39? That's insane. Chapter 39, Backlash. Here we go. I even have my books all set up here to put this on top of. And yet, there we go. We'll see if that helps. Okay. This is a quote. I've lost my father. I've lost a baby. I nearly lost my name. I mean, there's the loss of identity, said Meghan on the same day that she admitted that she had, after all, been married at Windsor. Wait a minute. So Windsor Castle, because all the castles sound the same to me. Buckingham, Windsor, they all just, like to me, they all blend together. Sandringham is in Scotland, right? I think that's the only one that I know of. So, and Buckingham is sort of the main one. Windsor is where, help me out here. Is that where they actually did get married? Or is that where she said the priest met them and married them? Not the priest. The bishop? I don't know who it was. Which one was Windsor? Because it says, she said, I lost my father, I lost the baby, I nearly lost my name. I mean, there's the loss of identity, said Meghan on the same day she admitted that she had, after all, been married at Windsor. Because I know that there was, we believe, a bit of a lie in there about the fact that she said she was married before the wedding that everybody else saw. Oh, by the archbishop, wasn't it? The archbishop? Isn't an archbishop something that's related to the Catholic Church? But isn't the Church of London, isn't the royal family over the Protestant church? I have all of a sudden lots of questions here today, don't I? This is the first sentence and I'm very confused. Okay, we'll go on. See if I can figure it out. For Meghan, who had complained to both her husbands and her child, to both of her husbands. Oh, correct. She's been married twice so far. Okay. For Meghan, who had complained to both of her husbands of her childhood without a family, the Oprah Winfrey interview condemned her own childhood to a similar fate. Except for Doria, the Sussex's children at the moment could expect to grow up without grandparents, without uncles, without aunts, without cousins. The Windsors were a troubled family, but no one had expected Harry to sabotage all the relationships. In London, the public repercussions continued for days. We're very much not a racist family, declared William, as he was doorstepped by journalists entering an East London school to promote a mental health project. Despite his anger about Meghan's denunciation of Kate, William telephoned Henry. Heal and mend, he agreed with Charles, was their only option before the estrangement became irreversible. Hours after the call, Gayle King appeared on CBS TV. After revealing the private conversation, she ridiculed the peacemakers. The conversation, she disclosed, was not productive. Speaking as briefed by the Sussexes, King criticized William's attitude. Oh, King, because it's Gayle King. That's confusing. Not the King. Gayle King. He really should have just written Gayle King in there. Gayle King criticized William's attitude. The family has to acknowledge there are issues. And right now, no one is acknowledging that. She went on to describe what is upsetting to Meghan. Namely, that the palace wanted to settle their disputes privately, yet had not stopped false stories appearing in the media. They had certainly failed to stop the stories broadcast in Oprah Winfrey's interview. The palace warned Harry there would be no more conversations or even contact if there were further leaks to the media. That, the royal advisors believed, would intimidate Harry. They were mistaken. Certain that the Oprah interview was a huge success in America, the Sussexes were set to establish themselves, not as beleaguered, something like that, royals in exile, but as A-list celebrities and social activists in California. On the eve of her 40th birthday, Meghan welcomed the watershed. Hailed by millions as an uncompromisingly authentic superstar, she had defied the odds. Standing in the global spotlight, she had humbled the royal family. Control of the media was critical. Nothing could be left to chance. Meghan's status and income depended entirely on media exposure. Denigrating the media, not least by legal threats, was part of her armory. At her request, CNN withdrew a report exposing her inaccuracies in the Oprah Winfrey interview. CNN, they're in bed with the Sussexes too. The Sussexes' skill was to deny access to anyone unwilling to fawn on their terms. In turn, their authority bestowed considerable influence across Hollywood. In Los Angeles, the media acknowledged Meghan had become a significant force. Fearful of Meghan's negative influence among her neighbors and other power brokers, past associates greeted journalists inquiring about her career with aggressive silence. Their abrupt refusal to comment was a measure of Meghan's new authority. Introduced on their insistence as the Duke and Duchess, the Montecito Windsors had created their own celebrity image, crafted and skillfully orchestrated photo opportunities as multiracial, multicultural humanitarians. Rather than service and sacrifice, their brand of royalty was shaped for lucrative political careers. Oh, Lord, that's just what we need. Another stupid Hollywood elite being political. The only uncertainty was Meghan's destination. Her ultimate ambition was shrouded in mystery. I think it was a mystery to her too, let's be honest. I don't think she had a trajectory and a vision. I think she just thought, I am now the Duchess of Sussex, and therefore the money will just come rolling in and the opportunities will be endless. I will have my pick of what I want to do, and thus will be the rest of my life. And it's not working out that way. No. Okay. The Sussexes' routine had changed. They no longer troubled themselves to be filmed handing out food packages or visiting women's hotels. On Remembrance Sunday, November 2021, Harry did not visit a cemetery to salute the fallen. With their shrewd team of advisors, they also concluded that any appeal to Britons was wasted. In the aftermath of the Oprah Winfrey Show, they focused their energy entirely on America. Lucky us. Not only to relate to their bedrock of support, but also to maximize their income. To benefit from Delaware's secrecy, Meghan's lawyers had registered 11 companies in the state. 11. Just in case. We're going to register 11 different names surrounding this. The Archwell Foundation and the Sussexes' personal finances were hidden from view. Confusingly, besides the charity Archwell Foundation, they had simultaneously created two commercial corporations, Archwell Audio and Archwell Productions. Outsiders would be unable to discover whether the couple had deposited any of their income from Netflix and Spotify, or whether their income had been used for charitable purposes. Sneaky. There was also no evidence that Netflix and Spotify were earning any revenues from their relationship with the Sussexes. On the contrary, executives in both corporations were reportedly frustrated by the lack of products and profits. The only new venture agreed by the Sussexes was a partnership with the Center of Humane Technology. Together with Archwell, they would research the development for safer, more compassionate online communities. That flagged the Sussexes' interest, but was not the source of money to sustain their lifestyle. In the dragnet cast by the Sussexes team among Silicon Valley billionaires and headhunters to find suitable employment for Harry, their first catch was Better Up. Better Up is I think a online therapy site. I do believe Pop Site Guy gets sponsored by, that's Better Health, right? Oh, that's better. I think, I don't know what it is now. Hey, Ladybird's mom. Okay. Quote, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, announced the corporation founded in 2013 had been employed as the Chief Impact Officer, delivering hyper-personalized coaching to improve motivation and productivity. Harry doesn't strike me as the epitome of motivation and productivity, does he? He strikes me as a sit with a Game Boy, kind of go to a pub, have a beer, play some Game Boy, maybe take in a football game. I don't know. Harry would oversee the corporation's counseling and mentoring services. And what qualifications does he have to do that? None. Moving on. Despite his promise not to cash in on his royal connections, Harry offered to the Californian money machine his expertise as a sufferer of mental health as a prince. That's what it says. As a sufferer of burnout, he would join a program to urge sufferers to seek mental wellness by medication with the help of a better up coach. I'm sorry. Until you have 3 kids that are like under the age of 5, and you're also working a part-time job and you're just trying to keep your head above water and you got your hormones fluctuating everywhere, he has no idea what it's like to be stressed out. Or how did he put it? A sufferer of burnout. No idea. He has no idea how to have a job that makes you suffer burnout either. No idea. To promote Better Up, Harry arranged that the California Corporation should be linked to the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, a royal charity. In return, the Queen's Commonwealth Trust promoted Better Up as an invaluable help to the Americans. Harry was dipped into murky waters. Contrary to British charity practices, nearly the entirety of the Queen's, what's it called? Commonwealth Trust. They just have QCT written here afterwards. Okay. Totaled £796,000 income paid to its staff rather than to the listed beneficiaries. Oh. Without any understanding of finance or law, Harry risked trouble. So he collected £796,000 and used it to just gave it away to all the staff and didn't use it for what he was raising the money for. Could you imagine how angry I would be if I was like scraping money together for a good cause and I was giving it to it and it was just going to executives to have padded incomes? I'd be so angry. Describing himself as a humanitarian, military veteran, mental wellness advocate, and environmentalist, Harry's second position was as a member of the Aspens Institute Commission on Information Disorder. What's that? The commission was investigating how misinformation was causing a modern-day crisis of faith in key institutions. What does that mean? That's not just him just rambling on and just doing word salad. This is literally the mission of this. It's like the whole thing is just a cover for something. What is that? It was investigating. It's a commission on information disorder, which makes no sense. Those words make no sense. The commission was investigating how misinformation, was causing a modern-day crisis of faith in key institutions. No clue. Among Harry's fellow members were Catherine Murdoch, the wife of James Murdoch, whose London newspaper had illegally hacked Harry's telephone, although Murdoch claimed to be unaware of the crime. As a victim of the digital dictatorship, Harry felt he could contribute to the investigation into a crisis of trust and truth, which is a global humanitarian issue. The Commonwealth's report would call for accountability from the super spreaders of online lies, which were harming hundreds of millions of people every single day. Harry went further. He described inaccurate journalists as the pirates with press cards who have hijacked the most powerful industry in the world. He asked if the news media is supposed to be holding us to account, who is holding them to account? I would love to see a movement to expose the unethical and immoral and dishonest amongst them. I mean, there's something to be said about the media not being held to account, but honestly, out of all the causes in the world, dear Harry, such a shame. He has such a platform. What a waste. The 17 inaccuracies in the Oprah Winfrey interview and Meghan's misleading statement to the High Court in the Mail on Sunday passed unmentioned, of course. Ethics were so important to Harry that he and Meghan joined the New York Ethic Bank as impact partners. This is just a bunch of hogwash words. I swear in this level of society, everyone just has titles and join clubs and organizations where they throw a bunch of words together that sound impressive and mean nothing. The $1.3 billion asset management fund, founded in 2015, focused on sustainable investments. Their purpose, sustainable investments, says the man who flies on a private jet. Okay. Their purpose, said the Sussexes, was to rethink the nature of investing to help solve the global issues we all face. I'm not going to do my part. I'm used to flying private, but the rest of you should just all be driving hybrid and recycling. That will make a difference. I bet his one flight would equivalent 10 years of somebody trying to reduce and recycle. Honestly, I'm not joking about that. Okay, where were we? The Sussexes had invested their own money in the fund, and they were paid to become brand ambassadors, even though that was forbidden by the Sandringham Agreement. There's a little bit of that. They don't really care about rules, do they? The bank was controversial. Presenting themselves as environmentalists and hippies, the bank's founders were accused of greenwashing investment for the super rich by conjuring a do-good smokescreen. Critics highlighted that Ethic Bank had invested in gold mines, social media, airlines, oil corporations, nice, pharmaceuticals, Amazon, Raytheon, the precision-guided missile manufacturer, and even Rupert Murdoch's Fox Corporation, all of whom were condemned as unethical by pressure groups, and by Harry himself when appearing under a different guise. Above all, he hated those in the media who criticized him. That's really what it comes down to. These narcissists are just paper thin. They get their feelings hurt so easily. Alleged narcissist. Harry's understanding of the media was revealed by his denunciation on American television of the First Amendment as being bonkers. Our First Amendment's bonkers. Okay. America's cornerstone of freedom and speech and an uncensored media was described by Harry as vulgar. Did he ever read it? Does he know what he's talking about? Is he just getting really, really bad advice from a buddy of his, drinking buddy who's now his advisor, or is he just advising himself? Both would be a bad situation. I don't know. Hi, Jane Morgan. Welcome. Hi, Liz. Lady Bird's mom living an eclectic like everybody who's in the house. Okay, where were we? So the First Amendment he described as bonkers. America's cornerstone of freedom of speech and in uncensored media was described by Harry as vulgar. In America, vulgar meant crazy. Subsequently, he admitted that he did not understand the constitutional protection. He didn't understand the Constitution, but he's going to criticize it. The entire nation, the words on which it was founded. He really is not the brightest, really. There was a good reason for Harry to renew his criticism of the media. On the 16th of April, 2021, David Engel, the solicitor, told the Mail on Sunday that although his client, Jason Knopf, would not voluntarily help the newspaper, he would provide a statement if Meghan's case came to trial. Knopf's latest approach was prompted by Judge Warby's refusal to allow a trial. Knopf was also taken aback by the Sussexes' inaccuracies in the Oprah Winfrey interview, as well as Meghan's story that Thomas Markle was a liar who she, as a loving daughter, had tried to help. Warby, the Palace Four, complained, had protected Meghan's duplicitous nature, allowing her to traduce the reputations of good people and brilliant professionals. Traduce, another word I've never heard of before. Moving on, namely the Palace Four. If the Four testified at Meghan's trial, the consequences for the Sussexes would be serious. With that in mind, Harry set off for London. 1 week later, on the 9th of April, Prince Philip had died. His funeral was set for the 17th of April. Neither the palace nor the media understood the Sussexes' mindset when Harry arrived in London just before the service. The mood in London was somber. Daily, the media extolled Philip's remarkable life and devotion to his country. The Duke had planned a simple funeral at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. The rehearsals displayed faultless military drill. Few would not be touched by the precision of British ceremonial tradition. The weather was forecast to be perfect. The only uncertainty was the relationship between Harry and his family. How would he cope with his father and his brother? Meghan had cited her 7 months pregnancy as the reason for not traveling. Oh, she was only 7 months pregnant. I thought she was like almost about to give birth. You can travel until your last trimester. That's still, well, I mean, depending on where in the 7th month, that's still your 3rd trimester, right? Maybe it's moving into the last one. All right, I'll give her that. I was 8.5 months pregnant, and I didn't get on an airplane, but drove 16 hours straight to get down to Orlando to spend an entire week in like 90% humidity and upper 90-degree weather for a week. I mean, my OBGYN wasn't thrilled. She did tell me to ahead of time look for a teaching hospital, not just any hospital, but find a teaching hospital nearby, and that I was instructed to drink a gallon of water a day, of which I did not follow either one of those rules. I'm a bad patient, but all was fine. All right. Ironically, that was my son, and he's the one that hates the heat. So maybe that had something to do with it. Keep saying he's going to move to Canada. All right. Let's see here. In Windsor Castle, the Queen was preparing to face the public on one of the saddest days of her life. Philip had been her rock for the previous 70 years. To comply with COVID restrictions, she would grieve alone inside the chapel. Thank goodness Meghan is not coming, the monarch said in a clear voice to her trusted aides. There was no mistaking the Queen's dislike for the disruptive actress. Wow, that's a quote. People are quoting her saying, thank goodness Meghan is not coming. Harry's presence remained a problem. Excuse me. As a private citizen, stripped of his military title, he could not dress in uniform. To minimize the embarrassment for both Harry and Andrew, who would be mired in allegations of sexual sleaze, all the male members of the royal family dressed in mourning suits. To avoid any problems with William, the brothers were separated as they walked towards St. George's Chapel by their cousin, Peter Phillips. During the short procession, many watched whether Harry signaled any regret toward his family. Some interpreted his sideways glance towards William as the outsider's unease. No one grasped the truth about Harry's nervousness. None realized that in 4 weeks' time, his Apple TV series about mental health would confirm not only his disloyalty, but his disregard for his family's privacy. Transmission had been delayed until after the funeral. Once again, Harry had shafted the Windsors. Oh, man. After what they did, too. I mean, I can't believe, like, the rest of the men who served in the military didn't wear their military garb and dress blues because of Harry, so that Harry's feelings wouldn't get hurt since Harry couldn't wear his. Still, no appreciation from this kid. Looking at his family standing in St. George's Chapel, Harry knew that his damnation of them in the Apple TV series would widen this rift. Sitting alone and isolated, the 94-year-old monarch's grief was concealed behind a black mask. Everyone was moved by her dignity. William looked tense, Kate serene, Charles visibly anguished. Only Harry's expression defied accurate reporting. Flapping his order of service against his thighs, he had left the chapel. He was clearly impatient. No one knew that Harry, the once adored young prince, had betrayed his whole family. After the service, eager for signs of reconciliation, the media seized on Kate's maneuver to engineer a conversation between the two brothers. Cameras followed them as they walked up the hill toward the castle. Later, reports of the aftermath veered between the 2-hour conversation between Harry, William, and Charles, and a perfunctory exchange before everyone departed. Few realized that Harry had no interest in reconciliation. He wanted to return to California as fast as possible. The three princes spoke briefly before Charles drove to his cottage in the Brecon Beacons in Wales. William was handed the burden of rescuing the monarchy from the damage caused by his brother and his uncle Andrew. Oh, I'm telling you, William inherited a hot mess. The Queen did not inherit this. Let's see, did Charles? Charles kind of did, but because Charles is putting his head in the sand, I think this is all going to be William's problem, honestly. Hi, Mama DDT. Wendy said the privilege is off the charts, right? Hi, Jane Morgan. Good to see you. Unbelievable. Buckingham Palace finally understood very precisely on the 14th of May that the Sussexes were beyond control. Apple TV released Harry's broadside. Called The Me You Can't See, Harry denounced William, whom had previously praised as the only person that he could trust, and later in the podcast called armchair expert dishonored Charles. Wait, I'm not understanding this sentence. I'm sorry. There's too much going on. Okay, it starts with the word called. Called, and then this is a title. The Me You Can't See, which was the name of this documentary, I guess, on mental health. Harry denounced William, whom he had previously painted as the only person he could trust, and later in the podcast called armchair expert dishonored Charles, whom he had previously thanked for being so kind for causing a cycle of genetic pain. Oh, so he was being snarky? He dishonored Charles, whom he had previously thanked for being so kind for causing a cycle of genetic pain. That's not nice. As I read it anyway. It's my simple brain is understanding it. He had even criticized the Queen, despite saying that he was hugely admired. All were cast as villains responsible for his cycle of suffering. Boy, yeah. And unresolved anger. Comparing his life as a mixture between the Truman Show and being in the zoo, he said of his family, "I've seen behind the curtain. I've seen the business model. I know how this operation runs. I don't want to be a part of this." Somebody needs to read these words back to him now, as he seems to be groveling to get back into the royal family, doesn't it? Seems that way anyway. Instead of being reconciled with his family, he had monetized his anguish. The trigger for his anger was once again his family's total neglect of Meghan while she was suicidal. She was going to end her life. I doubt that. She's too narcissistic to do that. It shouldn't have to get to that, he said, adding, that was one of the biggest reasons to leave, feeling trapped and feeling controlled through fear, both by the media and by the system itself, which never encouraged talking about this kind of trauma. I was ashamed to go to my family because I know that I'm not going to get from my family what I need. Okay, so pull up your britches and go talk to a counselor. They're not qualified anyway, Harry. If you really feel like you're dealing with some serious mental issues, like, listen, I grew up from a family. We do not talk about, well, I do. I'm the black sheep of the family. My parents, my brother, sister, nobody talks about their feelings. They don't talk about things happening in their lives. Everything is very superficial. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. And yeah, and then I'm just an open book and I just spew out whatever. And to find out what's going on, I just ask lots of questions because nobody volunteers anything to me. It's not me personally. I don't think they do with each other as well. Like, it's very, very superficial. And so certainly mental health never once in my life came up in my household. Or do you feel like you need to talk to somebody about that? I mean, it's almost comical to think. Yeah. So Harry, you're not the only person. Buck up. He had plenty of money to go seek out a counselor. See, a lot of people who are in the similar situation or worse, actually, I should say, most of them are in worse situations to him, also don't have the financial means to seek help, whereas he did. He had the financial means to bring in experts into the palace. He could have different ones on different days. I mean, it's just disgusting to me that he's blaming all of this on his family. Such a child. He has never grown up. But even as a child, I didn't complain about this kind of stuff. He's like beyond child. He's just a victim, I guess. Yep. He's Mr. I have to be the victim. All right. Ramping up his earlier accusations aired in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Harry described how he and Meghan felt bullied into silence. I thought my family would help, but every single ask, request, warning, whatever it is, just got met with total silence, total neglect. See, I find that hard to believe. Total silence, total neglect. Every time that he asked a question, gave a request, gave them a warning, everything was total silence, total. I just don't believe it. Even in a rotten family, there'd be some sort of acknowledgement, even if they don't agree with it. I just don't believe him. I don't. We spent 4 years trying to make it work. We did everything we possibly could, except go to a mental health expert. Beside that, everything to make it work, by making the family solve our problems, and they weren't solving our problems for us. Okay. He's just so delusional. I think he believes his words. That's the ironic part of all this. It sounds very Meghan. These sounds like her words. I think that she is just in his ear. But he's just as much to blame. These are his words. We did everything we possibly could to stay there and carry on doing the role and doing the job. Meghan was struggling. Even when they negotiated their departure, hunted and helpless, in London, there were forces working against us. Who rebuffed Harry's pleas remained unidentified. Surprise, surprise. So who is it that said no to you, Harry? Cricket, cricket, cricket. Mm-hmm. That is not the proper way to hold a teacup. Sorry, got the book in this hand. The cup is flipped around the wrong way. That's my left hand, so it's awkward. Okay. Not royal, clearly. While the palace struggled to understand why Harry should publicly criticize the Queen and his dead grandfather for their upbringing of Charles, Harry enjoyed the reports that he was trending #1 on social media. America's men were gripped by Harry's advocacy of therapy. But he never took Meghan for therapy. Oh, this is just something else, this book. Okay. He's complaining that the family never helped him. Then they never helped him. Now, is it because he never went to get therapy and he took zero responsibility for it? Because it's not like he's 15 years old or 16 years old crying out for help here. This is a grown man, right? He's in his 30s, isn't he? Oh, I was going to say he's in his late 20s. I think he's in his 30s because she just turned 40. This pathetic, wimpy, we're such victims is getting old. He was credited for removing the stigma of admitting to anxiety and depression. By contrast, palace officials decided there was no way for them to reason with a man who shared his anger in order to help others have a positive impact. The gulf between the Windsors and Harry was widening. 5 days earlier, Harry nailed his colors to political campaigning. At Vax Live, a Los Angeles charity concert, Harry told an audience that Pfizer and other pioneers of anti-COVID vaccines should abandon their intellectual property rights and let poorer countries have their patents for free. Okay. That's the solution. Okay. You know what I think, Harry? I think you should take your multi-millions of dollars that you have. Don't fly commercial the rest of your life. And take the millions that you receive from Mummy and give it to countries that need vaccines. What, you don't want to? Well, it's okay for somebody else to do it, but not you. Just want to be clear. Okay. President Biden supported that gesture, but it was opposed by Britain and the EU. Harry's participation would have been impossible as a member of the royal family, as would Meghan's 2-minute video. She weighed in by asserting that women of color had been disproportionately affected by COVID. Women's progress, said Meghan, had been wiped out for a generation. She offered no evidence for that proposition. I was just going to say, excuse me, I had not heard that before. Is that true? Okay. Women's progress had been wiped out for a generation. What, all the progress we made for a whole generation had been wiped out by COVID? Is that what she's up? I don't understand what she's saying. I'm sorry. Moving on. Harry knew that the couple's political activism and the monetization of their anger was causing Charles grief. powerless over events in California, Charles knew he had good reason on his ascension to strip the Sussexes and their children of their titles. The Sussexes' status depended entirely on the royal titles. Every appearance or statement was issued under the label the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Neither considered it odd to honor the Queen, yet damn her as a bad parent to Charles, or label her whole family as racist and neglectful of Meghan. Can I also point out that earlier on she was complaining that all this was going on when she was getting married and she was losing her identity in her as she was losing her name, she seems to have loved the fact she has no problem being still. She didn't have to lose her name. She can still be Meghan Markle. That's what we all call her anyway. It's what she's known as Meghan Markle. She insists on taking the new name. She insists on taking Duchess. Call me Duchess. Duchess Meghan, if you will. She even continues to use HRH in print on things when she was prohibited to do so. Yeah, it's just a woman of lies. Upset she was losing her name when she got married. I have to say, when I got married to my husband, I was so thrilled to take his name. It was just like that bonding of the two of us. Like, it's very clear to everybody around now that I am his and he is mine, that like we're one. It was just like there was something special about it, something like we're in this together for the rest of our lives that I absolutely loved. And our name was part of that. I didn't care if it was his. He's like, if you want me to take yours, I'll take yours. I'm like, no, I have a weird last name. Yours is normal. He's like, we could do a combination of the two. Like, it wasn't about being subservient or anything like that. It was a joining together. And it appears that she doesn't see it that way. She was just tormented over the fact that she was losing her identity and her name. Okay, where are we here? How are we on time? Okay, we're okay. How much more do we have? We are, we'll see if we're going to finish this. In America, the Sussexes assumed no one would be aware of those contradictions. But Harry could not assume that Charles would tolerate that enmity without retribution. In the possibly brief time before the Queen died, Harry needed to cement his status. Thank you, living an eclectic life. I see you, you see me. To remain in the public eye, the Sussexes organized a Lilibet website before their daughter was born. Lilibet was the name used by George V, the Queen's grandfather, as he imitated his young granddaughter's attempts to say her own name. After his death in 1936, the name stuck, but was only used by the closest members of the Queen's family. Harry's daughter was born at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital on the 4th of June. Santa Barbara's Cottage Hospital. Never heard of it. On the same day, but 2 days before the birth was announced, Meghan's lawyers registered the lilibetdiana.com website. All right, so on the same day, so on the day that Lilibet was born, but 2 days before the birth was announced. So she was born and it was not announced for 2 more days. Fishy. That's another, I just would love it if like something great came out of his book and this new book we're going to read when it comes out, which is coming out soon. After the birth, before the public announcement, Harry called the Queen. He told his grandmother about the birth and their decision to call their daughter Lilibet. To stymie the Sussexes, the palace told the BBC that the Queen was, quote, never asked for permission to use her name. In his telephone call, Harry was telling the Queen about the name. Once the BBC broadcast that report, the Sussex's truth machine was activated. Toya Holness, Meghan's spokeswoman, claimed that Harry would not have chosen to name if the Queen had not been supportive. Fired up by the Sussex's anger, Schillings announced that useless. The BBC apologized and withdrew that report. The Sussexes would sue for defamation. Has anybody kept track of how many times they have sued? Boy, are they just sue-happy people. Pitching Harry against the Queen was an extreme tactic to control the Sussexes' image. The palace supported the BBC. Faced with the factual truth, the Sussexes retreated. Schilling's threat evaporated. The Sussexes were defeated. Legal wranglings in London could be easily forgotten in California. Only when the whole royal family descended on the G7 summit hosted by the Prime Minister in Cornwall on the 7th of June, and Kate was filmed laughing with Jill Biden, did Meghan understand the unequal struggle for attention. For the British, the sight of William, Charles, and the Queen walking through a garden and alongside the world's leaders represented the monarchy's enduring strength, and William and Kate represented its future. The Windsors felt reassured by the international accolades. The Sussexes plotted their counterattack. Over William and Kate getting more attention than them. That's crazy. Okay. All their future public appearances were carefully scheduled and inserted into a grid, building up to a climax later that year in New York City. Their own royal event was planned to consolidate their status in America. In their timetable, the unveiling of a bronze memorial to Diana in Kensington Palace sunken garden on her 60th birthday became a sideshow for Harry. In the bitterness sparked by the Sussexes, only the Spencer family were present alongside the brothers. Everyone else, including Diana's grandchildren, stayed away. Meghan's absence passed without comment, except in those parts of America where Diana was revered. I'm shocked that Meghan wouldn't show up for that because she's like so attempting to be Diana. Standing in front of an uninspiring depiction of Diana, William and Harry defied speculation. The ceremony would not trigger a reconciliation. Blah, blah, blah. William's reluctance to attend the ceremony was well known. By then, he knew it was pointless to appease the Sussexes. Harry's destiny was built on undermining the Windsors. Harry's reinvention required a clean break. Retribution was possible, reconciliation on the Sussexes' terms only. The only blip was the risk of the truth emerging. At the end of July 2021, the Mail on Sunday's lawyer wrote to Jason Kanoff. She asked the official whether he might, after all, give a statement for the forthcoming court hearing against Meghan. Kanoff's reply arrived the next day. To avoid any challenge to his veracity, he subsequently sent a statement based entirely on his exchange of text messages and emails with Meghan and Harry. Kanoff's statement and Meghan's later statement signaled a public somersault. Kanoff revealed that he commented about Meghan's draft letter to her father, and that at Meghan's request, he had also briefed Omid Scobie. In addition, Kensington Palace's communication team was believed to have given the journalist a copy of Meghan's letter to Thomas Markle. Scobie was alleged to have later discussed the letter with one of Meghan's American friends. In the event, Scobie had been furious when People magazine had scooped him. Now, Kanoff intimated, the palace staff were prepared to tell the truth in Meghan's trial. The other 3 former members of Meghan's staff had also prepared witness statements. All 4 would challenge Meghan's truthfulness. Knopf's statement was delivered simultaneously to the Mayles and the Sussexes' lawyers. The Sussexes had good reason to be fearful. Tellingly, Knopf had switched lawyers. A new firm of solicitors was also employed by the palace to investigate Meghan's alleged bullying. Not mentioned in Knopf's statement was his memorandum that recorded the staff's allegations of Meghan's bullying. For the Sussexes, preventing the media from publicizing Knopf's truth had become essential. We made it. We did the whole chapter. We have chapter 40 next time. All right. Again, I don't think we're going to get through this before the next book comes out because we are mid-February already, and I do believe it comes out in March. But that's okay because I don't want to buy it and start reading it the first week it comes out anyway, just out of respect for people to buy the book and whatnot. So we'll just start it as soon as we finish this one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters left, although the last one is quite lengthy. So we have about 5 more weeks together. That's perfect, really. It'll give us a chance to start in on the book after the first wave of a couple weeks that it comes out. And next week, will I be reading it? Yeah, I'm going to. I am going to try to read this next week. It will be Sunday. Yes, it will be Sunday. That's my goal. That's my plan. To keep us on track, we will read 1 chapter next Sunday. And then there'll be 4 to go, right? Did I say there are 5? Oh, 5 weeks, 4 chapters. Then we'll have 3 chapters left. Oh my gosh, can you believe we're getting near the end? Let's see here. A 3rd show in a bit. Yes, it is true. It is true. We are doing our SOS exclusive, but we're just listening to it. That'll be easier to. The first one is the hardest one because actually it's not even that hard now. It was harder when I would just spend 2 hours discussing the sister wife show, just keeping it all going because you're talking nonstop and nobody's talking back. But you could read, but then you have to sit in silence while you're reading. And then that doesn't make for a good show either. So there's that balance of trying to read some of it while keeping the conversation going. That's the hardest one. Although it wasn't bad this time at all because we were watching season 3, episode 5 of Sister Wives, which was a good one, I think. So yes, there will be 1 more today, but that's okay. I mean, this is so that because I can't do anything the next couple days. So that gives you guys something to watch. Go back and watch throughout the week. And I will see you all next Sunday night. Yes, I'm going to make the thumbnails early this week so that you're all aware. Next Sunday night. All right. Take care. God bless. Adios. And I will see you next week. Goodbye, Queens.
my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
With a camera trained in front of her, crying. One tear, left eye, go.